The Imperial fleet was unstoppable, or so they thought, until one mysterious ship appeared and shattered everything they believed. If you want to witness more daring human triumphs in space, subscribe now and join the adventure. The Galactic Empire moved through space with the confidence of rulers who had never faced defeat. Massive warships glinted under distant stars, their hulls polished and bristling with weapons. Officers walked the corridors of the flagship, speaking of tactics and victories as if the galaxy itself belonged to them. The Admiralty laughed at reports of minor rebellions on outer planets, dismissing them as insignificant disturbances. Fleet formations were precise, every ship in its expected position, creating a perfect, intimidating line. Pilots practiced maneuvers that were routine to them, flipping and rolling through empty space with an air of boredom. Not a single officer expected anything to disturb their calm. They believed their enemies could never challenge the might of the Empire. On board the command bridge, the Emperor's advisors discussed strategy in a steady, measured tone. Charts and holograms showed star systems under Imperial control. Each line of data reinforced the belief that the Empire's dominance was absolute. Even the youngest cadets felt a sense of pride, imagining themselves as future heroes who would continue the Empire's legacy. Away from the flagship, smaller cruisers patrolled distant sectors, their crews alert but relaxed. Communications were routine, filled with reports of nothing more than empty sectors and minor pirate activity. On one such cruiser, the captain joked with his officers about how boring patrol duty had become. Laughter echoed through the corridors, a sound of confidence and comfort. Somewhere near a cluster of uninhabited planets, scouts reported strange signals, but the officers ignored them, convinced they were natural phenomena. The Empire had faced many unknowns before and survived. Why worry now? As the fleet glided through the quiet darkness, the silence of space seemed almost sacred. Stars passed by like slow-moving lanterns, each one a reminder of the vast territory under Imperial control. The sense of security was overwhelming, almost like a weight pressing down on every officer. It was a calm born of arrogance, and arrogance often blinded those who possessed it. On the observation deck, junior officers gazed at distant nebulae, imagining them as unexplored frontiers waiting for them to conquer. Dreams of glory and fame filled the minds of those who had never seen battle. The Empire's legacy had been built on strength, discipline, and fear, and everyone aboard believed that this tradition would never be broken. Every system scanned showed no signs of danger, reinforcing the officers' belief that they were untouchable. Even rumors of alien civilizations in remote corners of the galaxy were dismissed as exaggerated stories. Tales of human fleets and other advanced species were considered myths, stories told to frighten children. The calm in the fleet was absolute, as if nothing in the galaxy could disturb it. Every ship moved in perfect harmony with the others, their engines humming a low, steady rhythm. The formation stretched for light years, a river of metal flowing smoothly through the cosmos. Admirals inspected each section, nodding with satisfaction, confident that nothing could surprise them. In the mess halls, officers joked and ate, speaking of past battles they had won easily. Their laughter and casual conversations filled the spaceships, creating an atmosphere of security. The younger crew members copied their superiors, learning to believe in the Empire's invincibility. As hours passed, the routine continued, sensors scanning the void, engines humming, officers chatting. Pilots performed training runs, weaving through asteroid fields and performing sharp turns with flawless precision. Yet, beneath the surface of this calm, the galaxy held mysteries the Empire could not foresee. Even as officers boasted of their dominance, a faint, distant signal began to move toward them. Unnoticed at first, it slowly approached, something alien and unknown in the emptiness of space. The Empire's fleets remained confident, unaware that their carefully constructed calm was about to be shattered. The perfect formation, the laughter, the pride, the sense of absolute control, all of it was on the edge of being undone by something entirely unexpected. No one could know that this calm, this confidence, would soon turn into chaos. The stage for the greatest challenge the Empire had faced in centuries was being silently set. Every officer thought today would be another uneventful day, but fate was preparing to prove them wrong. Sensors on the Imperial fleet flickered as a strange signal appeared on the main screen. At first, officers assumed it was another routine anomaly, perhaps a passing asteroid or a minor fluctuation in energy fields. The blips grew larger, more defined, and impossible to ignore. The mysterious object was moving directly toward the center of the fleet, unidentifiable and unlike anything recorded in Imperial archives. Commanders frowned, exchanging uneasy glances. Yet confidence remained, many insisting it was harmless, just another probe or scout. The ship's shape slowly became visible through the enhanced scanners, smooth and sleek, unlike the angular designs of Imperial vessels. Its hull shimmered with faint energy, reflecting nearby stars as if it had no solid form at all. Pilots and officers whispered to each other, unsure if the ship was organic, technological, or something entirely new. The mysterious vessel glided forward without changing speed, weaving effortlessly through the Imperial formations, avoiding patrol ships with precise movements that no Imperial pilot could match. The fleet tried to intercept it, sending fighter wings ahead, but the craft dodged without effort, almost as if it anticipated every move. On the command bridge, alarms began to sound, red lights flashing across consoles. The Emperor's advisors leaned over their charts. Attempting to calculate the ship's trajectory, its path was deliberate, heading straight toward the Empire's battle line, ignoring protocol. The usual calm that filled the fleet vanished, replaced by tension and whispered speculation. Some suggested it could be an advanced human vessel, long thought to exist only in legends. Others feared it was a new weapon from an enemy civilization, capable of destroying entire fleets in moments. Despite the fear, curiosity spread among officers who had never seen technology this advanced. Its hull emitted a soft hum, resonating through the sensors, a sound that seemed almost alive. Pilots reported minor system glitches as they attempted scans, readings fluctuating wildly, instruments failing to keep up with the unknown energy surrounding the ship. Even veteran captains felt unease creeping into their minds. The ship moved with a confidence and precision that the Empire's most experienced strategists could not anticipate. It weaved between cruisers and destroyers, leaving no gaps for attacks, its presence alone causing disruption in communications and sensors. The distant stars reflected off its smooth surface, making it seem like the ship was part of the cosmos itself, almost invisible against the backdrop of space. Messages were sent to the approaching vessel, hailing it in every common language. All attempts were ignored, replaced by strange pulses of energy that interfered with shields and targeting systems. Small cruisers found their engines faltering, navigational controls glitching, causing minor collisions and forcing emergency maneuvers. Chaos spread as the fleet struggled to maintain formation. Fleet admirals barked orders, but the ship's speed and unpredictability rendered conventional tactics useless. Even with the Empire's advanced training, pilots found themselves reacting too slowly. The mysterious craft moved as if guided by intelligence far beyond any human or alien understanding. Its appearance was both threatening and mesmerizing, every officer on the bridge watching in disbelief as it continued straight toward the heart of their formation. The Emperor's personal advisors began to debate whether to engage it directly or retreat. Their voices rose in panic as they realized this was no ordinary intruder. The ship's energy pulses had already disabled a few minor ships, small explosions flickering across distant view screens, sparks and debris floating in the void, sending warning signals to the rest of the fleet. Despite the chaos, some officers felt awe at the elegance and skill displayed. A single ship had moved through hundreds of Imperial vessels without being touched, leaving no path of destruction behind, only confusion and fear. The strange ship did not slow, did not hesitate, and did not react to commands. Its trajectory unwavering as it approached the center of the Empire's formation. Every sensor, every weapon system, every trained eye struggled to understand how it moved. The officers could only watch as the anomaly broke the routine of the fleet, showing the Empire for the first time that control could be challenged. Whispers of impossible and how filled the corridors as fear mingled with fascination. Every captain realized that this encounter was unlike anything they had prepared for. The calm of the past hours vanished completely, replaced by an electric tension that spread like wildfire through the ships. Pilots gripped controls, engineers monitored failing systems, and admirals tried desperately to form a plan. The mysterious ship's approach had shattered the predictable order, demonstrating a force beyond conventional warfare. The fleet had trained for countless scenarios, but none had accounted for a single silent ship capable of turning their confidence into doubt. And as it drew nearer, all who watched knew that the Empire was facing an unknown power that could change everything. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test every assumption, every strategy, and every belief the Empire had ever held. The distant hum of the alien ship echoed in the minds of those who saw it, a sound of inevitability that left no one untouched. Fear and fascination blended into a single feeling, as officers realized that history would remember this moment, not as a minor anomaly, but as the first sign that the Empire's invincibility was not absolute. Imperial sensors struggled to keep up as the mysterious ship moved closer. Its presence caused fluctuations in every system, making scans unreliable. Officers on the bridge watched in disbelief as readings jumped from one extreme to another. Hull integrity monitors flickered, and energy fields warped in impossible patterns. Every attempt to communicate was met with strange pulses of light and energy. Not words, not signals, just strange rhythmic pulses that interfered with the fleet's technology. Pilots tried to maneuver their ships into attack positions, but their instruments betrayed them. Engines misfired, targeting systems spun wildly, and shields flickered like dying stars. Smaller cruisers collided as autopilot systems failed. The chaos spread faster than anyone could control. The Emperor's advisors shouted orders over failing communication lines, demanding explanations and solutions. But no one had the knowledge or experience to counter what they were seeing. The ship glided effortlessly through gaps that should have been impossible, slipping between massive warships without touching a single one. Each move seemed calculated, as if the vessel could see the future of every maneuver the Empire attempted. Officers whispered that this was no ordinary technology. It was intelligence. It was cunning. It was alive. In some ships, the crew panicked, abandoning standard procedures to react instinctively. Yet their reactions were useless. The pulses of energy from the mysterious vessel scrambled engines and weapons alike, turning the Empire's own might against itself in small, disorienting ways. Sensors aboard the flagship recorded readings that contradicted each other, power levels spiking then dropping, weapon arrays locking and unlocking unpredictably. Pilots felt their confidence crumble as every familiar system betrayed them. The bridge filled with a tense silence broken only by alarms and frantic calls. Even veteran admirals, known for their composure under fire, showed signs of doubt. Their hands hovered over controls, unsure whether to fire, evade, or retreat. The mysterious ship, meanwhile, maintained perfect control, its movements smooth, precise, almost playful in the chaos it created. Each pulse it emitted caused minor damage, but more importantly, it shattered the order of the fleet. Where there had been formation and discipline, there was now confusion and hesitation. Orders overlapped and contradicted each other. Fleet captains struggled to adapt, but every adaptation was anticipated and neutralized. One destroyer tried to flank the alien vessel, only to find its navigation systems frozen for critical seconds. Enough time for the mysterious ship to pass through unharmed. The crew inside gasped, realizing that the ship's interference was not random, but carefully targeted. It disrupted the fleet's strengths while leaving the aliens untouched. Officers speculated wildly about the ship's origin. Could it be humans, as old rumors suggested, or a new species entirely, capable of manipulating energy in ways no one had seen? Communication officers tried again, sending encoded signals and visual warnings, only to have the pulses transform them into static and sparks. The bridge lights flickered, reflecting the unease and helplessness felt by everyone. Outside, the vastness of space seemed peaceful, but within the fleet, tension crackled like lightning. Engineers scrambled to reboot failing systems, but the mysterious pulses kept knocking them offline before recovery could finish. Ships that had once been proud symbols of power now seemed fragile and exposed. Pilots gripped their controls with white-knuckled determination, but instinct and skill were not enough against the unknown. On smaller vessels, crews reported hallucinations or seeing duplicates of the ship, their minds tricked by the alien pulses, making coordination impossible. Even the Emperor himself, observing through the main communications link, felt the weight of vulnerability. Years of planning and power seemed meaningless in the face of this single, silent intruder. Yet amid the fear, some officers felt a strange awe. The ship's movement was elegant, almost artistic, a perfect display of balance and control. It did not fire weapons in the traditional sense, but it crippled the Empire's systems in ways that left no trace. Only the results remained: disrupted formations, disabled engines, confused pilots. The mysterious vessel reached the center of the fleet, its presence a silent command that the Empire could not defy. Chaos had become total, and the officers could only react, never control. Orders were shouted, repeated, and ignored as systems continued to fail. Bridges became zones of panic, where adrenaline replaced reason. Every action by the mysterious ship further demonstrated that brute force could no longer dominate. The Empire's reliance on technology and discipline now seemed like a weakness. Not a single Imperial vessel could touch the intruder. Not a single weapon could harm it. And as the ship glided through their lines, leaving minor sparks and scrambled electronics in its wake, the fleet realized that their invincibility was an illusion. Confidence shattered, fear took its place, and the mysterious vessel moved with silent certainty, a ghost in the heart of the Empire's strongest fleet. Every officer understood that this was no ordinary encounter, and that their galaxy might never be the same again. Panic spread through the Imperial fleet as the mysterious ship continued to glide effortlessly among their vessels. Officers shouted over failing communication lines, trying to coordinate defensive maneuvers, but every attempt seemed futile. Smaller cruisers floundered as their engines faltered, their shields flickering unpredictably. The once proud formations of the Empire were now broken, scattered in disarray. Admirals barked orders, their faces pale with disbelief. Fleet captains argued over tactics, blaming one another for mistakes that were no one's fault. The Emperor's advisors huddled around holographic displays, attempting to calculate the ship's next move. Every calculation proved useless. The alien vessel moved faster than any sensor could track, slipping past fleets that believed themselves untouchable. Rumors began to circulate that the ship was piloted by humans, legendary for their daring and cunning. The mere suggestion caused tension to rise even higher. Humans had always been underestimated, yet this single ship had already demonstrated abilities beyond anything the Empire had ever faced. Pilots found themselves hesitating, unsure whether to attack, evade, or do nothing at all. Their confidence crumbled as instruments continued to fail and orders collided. The mysterious ship did not need conventional weapons to dominate. Its presence alone created chaos. Navigation systems glitched, targeting arrays misfired, and communications became distorted. Entire sections of the fleet became isolated, cut off from command. Some ships attempted to regroup, but the alien vessel anticipated every move, slipping between them and breaking their lines again. Even veteran officers who had survived countless battles felt helpless. Their experience was meaningless against something so unpredictable. Panic turned to fear as reports of minor collisions and disabled vessels poured in. Sparks floated in the void of space, shields flickered, and alarms wailed. The Empire's soldiers and pilots realized that this was not a drill, not a minor threat, but a force capable of destroying their fleet if unchecked. Messages were sent across the formation, demanding retreat or concentrated fire, but each attempt was thwarted. The mysterious ship's movements were precise, almost playful, targeting weak points without destroying ships outright. Its strategy was psychological as much as physical, forcing fear and confusion into the hearts of those who relied on strict order and discipline. On the bridges of larger ships, officers argued over priorities. Some wanted to focus fire, others wanted to protect the flagship. Disagreements erupted, and hesitation allowed the alien vessel to continue its assault unchallenged. Pilots attempted evasive maneuvers, weaving through the chaos, but every action seemed anticipated. The ship's energy pulses interfered subtly, delaying reactions by fractions of seconds. Yet those fractions were enough to break formations, prevent coordinated attacks, and heighten panic. Even the Emperor watched helplessly, unable to intervene directly. Years of planning, of building the greatest fleet in the galaxy, felt meaningless in that moment. The Empire had relied on technology, discipline, and intimidation, but the mysterious ship ignored all three. Its power lay in its unpredictability, its intelligence, and its ability to strike without warning. Officers whispered stories of previous human victories, realizing that the legends might be true. Their fear grew as admiration mixed with disbelief. Could one ship really outmatch an entire fleet? The fleet's morale plummeted. Once confident soldiers now doubted every tactic, every failed attack, every misfired weapon reinforced the sense of helplessness. Engineers worked frantically to reboot systems, but energy pulses from the ship kept knocking them offline. Each attempt to regain control seemed doomed before it began. Smaller crews panicked, abandoning routines, while larger ships' bridges filled with tense discussions and frantic orders. The alien ship moved calmly, like a predator observing prey. It did not rush, it did not attack recklessly, yet its effect was devastating. One by one, the Empire's tightly organized lines unraveled, vessels drifted, collided, and lost communication. The once unshakable fleet now resembled a scattered formation of confused soldiers. The panic was contagious, spreading from ship to ship, bridge to bridge, command to command. No one could anticipate the next move, and that uncertainty made every officer anxious. Even strategies designed for centuries of warfare failed to account for a single, intelligent, and unseen adversary. The mysterious ship had not destroyed the fleet outright, but it had crippled its order, shattered its confidence, and created chaos where control once reigned. The Empire realized, perhaps for the first time, that its supremacy was not guaranteed. That fear, confusion, and unpredictability could challenge even the greatest power in the galaxy. Officers gripped their consoles, shouting over alarms and each other, trying desperately to restore discipline. But the more they struggled, the more the alien ship dominated. Every moment that passed reinforced the same truth. The Galactic Empire, so proud and confident for centuries, was now facing the unknown, and nothing in its history could prepare it for what was coming. Scouts aboard the Imperial fleet struggled to make sense of the mysterious ship. Their sensors detected small signs of life, faint energy signatures that suggested intelligent beings. The readings were unusual, almost human in nature, sending a ripple of shock through the officers. Whispers began spreading that humans, long thought primitive and inconsequential, might be behind the anomaly. The suggestion was almost unbelievable, yet the data could not be ignored. Pilots and captains exchanged uneasy glances, recalling stories of humanity's daring feats in past skirmishes. Tales of humans taking impossible risks, using ingenuity instead of brute force, suddenly seemed relevant. Fleet officers felt a mix of fear and admiration. The unknown ship moved with precision that no one could predict, its energy pulses disabling engines and shields with terrifying efficiency. Even the Empire's most experienced tacticians could not anticipate its maneuvers. Attempts to attack it failed repeatedly, as if the vessel was reading the fleet's thoughts. Every plan seemed foreseen and countered before execution. The humans' reputation as cunning and fearless spread quickly among the officers. Panic mixed with disbelief as they realized that this was not just technology, but strategy and intelligence at work. The ship darted between Imperial cruisers, striking weak points without ever coming close to direct confrontation. Smaller frigates were thrown off course, colliding or drifting helplessly. The Empire's pride faltered as the humans demonstrated skill over sheer numbers. On the flagship, advisors debated furiously, trying to determine if they were facing a lone genius or a small fleet. Each estimate failed as the alien ship continued to outmaneuver the Empire. It became clear that brute force was useless. The humans relied on speed, unpredictability, and psychological pressure, turning every Imperial defensive action into a trap. Even the most confident officers felt tension rising, realizing that conventional strategies could not counter the tactics displayed by the mysterious vessel. In the mess halls, junior officers whispered rumors of the humans' legendary audacity. Their confidence, their creativity, and their unwillingness to obey predictable patterns were almost mythical. Yet the evidence was real, and the fleet could not ignore it. Engineers worked frantically to keep shields up and engines responsive, but the humans' pulses interfered continuously. Every attempt to regroup or repair failed, creating a sense of helplessness. Ships that once represented the Empire's strength now seemed fragile, exposed to an intelligence far beyond their understanding. Pilots reported strange anomalies, seeing the ship appear in multiple places at once or moving impossibly fast between cruisers. The alien craft's control over energy fields seemed almost supernatural. The humans' presence forced the Empire to rethink its assumptions. The officers realized that victory relied not on numbers, weapons, or armor, but on adaptability, quick thinking, and courage. All previous training and discipline felt inadequate in the face of such a challenge. The mysterious ship's movements were elegant and deliberate, almost playful, highlighting its superior strategy and intelligence. Every interaction disrupted the Empire's systems while leaving the vessel unharmed. The humans had mastered not just technology, but psychology, using fear and uncertainty as tools against their overwhelming enemy. Fleet admirals struggled to maintain composure, issuing conflicting commands. Some wanted to concentrate fire, others advised retreat, but the humans' precision negated all attempts at coordinated action. The energy pulses continued, scrambling communications and sensors, creating delays that made even simple maneuvers dangerous. Officers could see the effects in real time. Cruisers spinning out of control, smaller ships drifting helplessly, shields flickering, and weapons offline. Fear spread like wildfire through the fleet, replacing confidence with doubt. Yet amid the fear, a sense of awe emerged. The humans' brilliance and audacity were undeniable. Their presence showed that one intelligent, determined crew could challenge the mightiest fleet in the galaxy. Even the Emperor watched silently, understanding that this was no ordinary battle. Every move by the humans highlighted the Empire's overconfidence, exposing vulnerabilities that had never been considered. The fleet's morale wavered, junior officers and cadets watching in disbelief. Some whispered that humans could never be stopped once they chose their path, that bravery, ingenuity, and courage mattered more than technology or numbers. As the mysterious ship continued to weave through the Imperial lines, the fleet realized that the humans were rewriting the rules of engagement. Each pulse, each maneuver, each calculated action demonstrated skill far beyond conventional warfare. Panic, admiration, and fear merged, leaving officers with a single undeniable truth. The humans were fearless, unorthodox, and brilliant, and the Empire's greatest challenge had just begun. The mysterious ship moved with precision through the Imperial fleet, its presence alone breaking the carefully planned formations that had once been flawless. Smaller cruisers spun helplessly as engines faltered, their shields flickering under the influence of strange energy pulses. Pilots shouted over failing communications, trying desperately to maintain order. Yet every maneuver they attempted seemed anticipated, countered, and neutralized. The alien vessel did not fire conventional weapons, yet it shattered the fleet's cohesion with ease. Every section of the formation became isolated, ships drifting alone in the vast void of space. Collisions and near misses occurred as the Empire's pilots struggled against invisible forces. The once confident admirals could only watch as their lines dissolved. Their strategies, refined over centuries, proved useless. The humans' control over movement and space itself left the Imperial officers in shock. The flagship's sensors reported multiple anomalies, showing the mysterious ship in several places at once. Though impossible, it seemed to evade, confuse, and dominate simultaneously. Officers whispered about the audacity of a single crew achieving what hundreds of Imperial ships could not. The alien vessel's energy pulses subtly disrupted engines and shields, forcing pilots to focus entirely on survival rather than attack. The Empire's strength, based on discipline and coordination, became its weakness. Every attempted regrouping failed, as the humans anticipated where the ships would try to reconnect. Their precision was unparalleled, movements elegant yet devastating. As fleet commanders issued orders, the ship slipped between vessels like a phantom, leaving trails of confusion behind. Smaller ships were pushed off course. Collisions occurred, and some cruisers were forced to retreat just to avoid destruction. The alien ship's calm control contrasted sharply with the chaos it caused. Every bridge felt the pressure, officers gripping consoles, eyes wide, hearts pounding. The human strategy relied on psychological warfare as much as physical disruption. By controlling where the fleet could move and where it could not, they forced hesitation, uncertainty, and fear. Even the most seasoned captains found themselves second-guessing every decision. On board the flagship, the Emperor's advisors argued over what to do. Each suggestion was countered by evidence of failure. The humans were not just fast, they were clever, predicting attacks and exploiting weaknesses before anyone could react. Pilots attempted desperate strikes, darting from one side to another, but energy pulses scrambled targeting systems. Engines misfired, shields weakened, and no attack connected. The fleet's communication lines crackled with static, each message delayed or blocked entirely. Officers grew frantic, shouting over each other, trying to regain control. But the more they struggled, the more the alien ship dominated. The mysterious vessel's movements were fluid, almost playful, weaving through gaps that no Imperial officer would have dared to enter. Each pass disrupted multiple ships, breaking formations further. It did not destroy vessels outright, but the psychological impact was immense. Fear and awe rippled through the fleet, morale plummeting as officers realized that conventional strength was meaningless. Even the Emperor's personal fleet, the pride of the Empire, faltered under the humans' influence. Pilots were forced to focus solely on survival, abandoning any offensive action. The alien ship's strategy was clear: chaos over destruction, control through fear. Every movement demonstrated intelligence far beyond Imperial comprehension. Every pulse and maneuver taught a lesson in unpredictability. Fleet officers began to whisper that perhaps legends of human cunning were true, that a single human crew could outthink an entire empire. The mysterious ship continued to split the lines, moving with absolute precision, exploiting every weakness in formation. The Empire's technology, discipline, and experience were no match for adaptability, creativity, and intelligence. Officers realized that sheer numbers no longer mattered. The humans' brilliance lay in using unpredictability and strategy to overcome overwhelming force. Engineers worked frantically to reboot systems disrupted by pulses, but each recovery was undone almost immediately. Pilots and officers struggled to coordinate even the simplest of maneuvers. The alien vessel remained calm, unaffected, in control of every situation. Its movements were a dance, a perfect combination of elegance and destruction. The fleet's cohesion had vanished, replaced with fear, hesitation, and scattered actions. The humans' ability to control the battlefield without traditional weapons became apparent. Imperial officers watched helplessly as their formation disintegrated, realizing that this encounter was unlike any before. The mysterious ship moved confidently, every action calculated, every reaction anticipated. The Empire, once unshakable, now faced a force that could manipulate its strengths into weaknesses. Confidence turned into panic, pride into disbelief. And as the alien vessel continued to weave through the shattered lines, every officer understood that this was a confrontation that would redefine their understanding of power, strategy, and fear. Desperation gripped the Imperial fleet as the mysterious ship continued to dominate the battlefield. Fleet commanders tried to reorganize, but every plan failed before it could be executed. Smaller cruisers drifted helplessly, their engines misfiring, shields flickering, and weapons offline. Every attempt at counterattack was anticipated and neutralized with terrifying precision. Officers shouted orders, their voices rising in panic as frustration replaced confidence. The alien vessel moved effortlessly, slipping through gaps and striking weak points without ever being threatened. Even the most experienced pilots found themselves unable to predict its movements. Their instincts, honed over years of training, were useless against a force that seemed to think ahead of them at every step. Engineers worked frantically to reboot failing systems, only to see them knocked offline again by subtle pulses of energy. The Empire's pride and reliance on technology became its greatest weakness. The flagship's bridge was a scene of chaos, officers yelling, trying to coordinate actions across multiple ships. Orders conflicted, hesitations multiplied, and every misstep was exploited by the alien vessel. Some admirals urged retreat, fearing further losses, while others demanded concentrated fire, hoping to overwhelm it through sheer numbers. But the mysterious ship avoided every attack with ease, its speed and agility far beyond anything in the Empire's arsenal. Reports came in from smaller vessels, noting that the ship seemed to anticipate not just movements but strategies. Each maneuver made by Imperial ships was already countered before it was completed. The humans' tactics were brilliant in their simplicity, striking where the Empire was weakest and avoiding strength. Fear spread like wildfire, infecting every bridge, every officer, every pilot. Confidence that had once been absolute now shattered, replaced by uncertainty and dread. Even those who had fought in countless battles felt powerless. The mysterious ship's presence was a constant reminder that no amount of training or technology could guarantee victory. Communication channels were clogged with frantic messages, many going unanswered or arriving too late to be useful. Pilots reported seeing the ship in multiple locations at once, a phenomenon their instruments could not explain. Shadows of confusion and fear clouded their judgment. The energy pulses emitted by the vessel caused minor system failures in all nearby ships. Engines stuttering, weapons locking, shields fluctuating unpredictably. Every failed maneuver, every disabled system, every collision or near miss reinforced the humans' control over the battlefield. Admirals argued heatedly over next steps, some blaming miscalculations, others insisting the ship was too advanced to confront directly. Panic and indecision spread faster than the human ship ever could. The vessel moved like a predator among prey, never rushing, always precise. Its actions deliberate, each pass through the fleet demonstrating perfect control over chaos. The Empire's might, built over centuries, seemed fragile in comparison. Even the Emperor himself watched silently, unable to intervene. Realizing that sheer force was meaningless here, officers whispered stories of human ingenuity, of daring feats in impossible circumstances. Their fear mixed with awe, acknowledging that the legends might have been true all along. The fleet's attempts to regroup failed repeatedly. The ship exploited every weakness, turning defensive maneuvers into traps. Engineers struggled to maintain operational systems, but the humans' pulses interfered constantly, disrupting coordination and control. Smaller crews panicked, abandoning procedures, while larger vessels' bridges filled with frantic discussion and contradictory orders. The alien ship's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the disorder it created. Each maneuver reinforced the Empire's sense of vulnerability, making pilots hesitate and falter. Even numerical superiority could not overcome the humans' intelligence and skill. Officers realized that adaptability, quick thinking, and creativity mattered more than technology or firepower. The mysterious ship's movements were elegant and confident, turning every Imperial action against itself. Psychological warfare became as important as physical disruption. Each pulse, each subtle interference, each precise maneuver left officers questioning their training, their assumptions, their very understanding of space combat. Fear became a tool the humans wielded with precision. Keeping the fleet off balance, the aliens did not destroy ships outright, but their presence created chaos, turning every advantage the Empire had into a liability. Admirals and captains shouted over each other, trying to salvage order, but the humans anticipated every move. Their strategy was a combination of foresight, agility, and psychological pressure. The Empire's pride gave way to desperation. As the mysterious ship wove through the shattered lines, the fleet realized that no conventional tactics could prevail. The humans' mastery of unpredictability and intelligence had upended centuries of Imperial confidence. Officers understood that this encounter was not just a battle, it was a lesson. A demonstration that strategy, skill, and courage could overcome overwhelming force. The once unshakable Empire now faced an opponent that could outthink, outmaneuver, and unsettle them with effortless brilliance. And every member of the fleet knew that their understanding of warfare, control, and power would never be the same again. The Imperial fleet, battered and disoriented, began to retreat under the relentless control of the mysterious ship. Officers struggled to regroup, but every attempt at order was met with subtle interference. Pilots guided their vessels as best they could, weaving through gaps left by their shattered formation. The alien ship did not pursue aggressively, yet its presence alone kept every captain on edge. Every maneuver they made seemed anticipated, leaving them unsure whether to advance, retreat, or simply hold position. Communication lines were fraught with static and delays, orders repeated, ignored, or misinterpreted as panic spread through the ranks. Even the Emperor's advisors admitted that no conventional strategy could counter the humans' brilliance. Small ships that had survived the chaos drifted cautiously, their crews exhausted and tense. The humans' ability to control the battlefield without direct engagement became clear. They had shattered the Empire's confidence more than its ships. Every bridge in the fleet felt the weight of vulnerability, a reminder that power alone could not guarantee safety. Engineers continued to work frantically to restore systems, but the alien ship's subtle pulses disrupted even their most careful efforts. Each restart of engines or shields was met with interference, making recovery slow and uncertain. Pilots whispered of impossible maneuvers, watching the vessel appear and disappear, striking weak points without ever taking damage. Its calm and precision contrasted sharply with the chaos it had caused. Officers began to understand that they had been outmatched not by numbers but by intellect, adaptability, and courage. The mysterious ship's actions left a permanent mark on the fleet, teaching lessons that technology alone could not. Fleet morale was low, but awe mingled with fear. Many officers acknowledged that humans, once considered insignificant, could challenge even the greatest empires. Stories and rumors of human ingenuity seemed more real than ever, and whispers of admiration spread quietly across ships. The Empire had faced threats before, but none had been so unrelenting, so unpredictable, and so perfectly executed. Even the flagship, a symbol of imperial pride, had been unable to maintain cohesion. Its officers worked tirelessly, but every action had already been anticipated and countered. The mysterious ship remained elusive, moving with elegance, avoiding destruction while teaching a harsh lesson in humility. As the fleet limped towards safer space, reports confirmed that no lives had been lost to direct attack. Yet the psychological impact was immense. Confidence shattered, pride wounded. The Empire realized that dominance could be questioned by intellect and courage. Pilots and commanders alike reflected on their own limitations, understanding that they had underestimated a single determined crew. The humans had proven that one vessel, guided by strategy, speed, and daring, could disrupt and control an entire fleet. Whispers of fear, respect, and disbelief filled the corridors of every ship. Officers silently promised themselves they would remember this day, that they would learn from it. The Empire's pride had been humbled, but the encounter also inspired a grudging respect. The mysterious ship, having demonstrated its superiority, finally withdrew, vanishing into the vastness of space as suddenly as it had appeared. No trace remained beyond disrupted systems, scattered formations, and the memory of unparalleled precision. Officers stared at empty screens, trying to comprehend what they had witnessed. The humans had arrived, demonstrated brilliance, and left without a trace, leaving the Empire to reflect on their own vulnerabilities. Lessons from this encounter spread quickly, reminding everyone that intelligence, daring, and creativity could defeat even the most powerful forces. Fleet admirals documented every anomaly, every pulse, every maneuver, determined to study and prepare for future encounters. The Empire slowly regrouped, but the memory of the human skill lingered, creating a new respect for ingenuity over brute force. Across the fleet, fear was tempered with awe. Officers shared stories of what they had seen, passing on knowledge that would influence tactics, training, and strategy for years to come. The mysterious ship had proven that the Empire was not invincible, that every victory required more than numbers, more than weapons, more than pride. Humanity's presence in the galaxy was undeniable. Their ability to challenge even the mightiest fleet had been witnessed firsthand. And though the sector returned to uneasy calm, the Empire knew it would never forget the day when one vessel broke through its battle lines, humbling the greatest military in the galaxy and changing the course of history forever.